Hello everyone. In our previous class, we have discussed about what is the meaning of sexual reproduction, what are its characteristics and what are its advantages. So in this chapter, we will discuss about sexual reproduction in plants and sexual reproduction in human. So let's start with first sexual reproduction in plants. Now first thing is, what is the sexual reproductive part in plant? So the answer is, flower is the reproductive part of plants. What is the answer? That flower is the reproductive part of plant. Now in flower, all male and female, both the reproductive parts are present, which helps to give new offspring. And how is this going to give the new offspring? In the form of seed. When we grow seed, it develops as a new individual. So, to discuss how the sexual reproduction takes place in plants, we first will discuss about structure of flower. We will discuss about the sexual reproductive part of plant, which is flower. So, let's discuss structure of flower. If we see the structure of flower, there are four main parts. The first part is sepal. Outer part is sepal. Generally, you can say it's a green part of plant. I just explain you by giving an example. This is a China rose, means hibiscus. China rose. This one. This green part is sepal. Okay, this green part is sepal. This collectively, all this sepal circle, collectively it is called calyx. Okay. Second, the colored part. The colored part of flower, which is called petals. So second part is petals. And the collectively this petals part is known as corolla. What I explained, the first part is this green part, which is called sepal. Collectively, the sepal part is known as calyx. And now you can see it's an outer part. So what its function? It helps to protect flower. When the flower is bud, that time this cover the bud and it protect the bud or it protect the flower. This is the function of sepal. Now colored part is known as petal, which is collectively called corolla. Now it's a colored part, so that means it is going to attract insect. It will attract insect to collect nectar. So indirectly it is going to help for pollination. What is pollination? That we will discuss afterwards. Now the third part is known as stamen. And stamen is a male reproductive part of flower. It's a male reproductive part of flower. Stamen. You can see this one is stamen. Okay. Now if you see the stamen, you will see the stamen have two main parts. First part is bilobed. Two lobes. 1, 2. First part is bilobed, which is called anther. And second part, a thin-like structure, it is called filament. Okay. Through this filament, you can see here, this is filament, this is anther lobe. Through this filament, it is attached to the flower body. This is male reproductive part, stamen. Okay. Now in anther lobe, pollen grains are present. These pollen grains are male gametes of flower. I am repeating, these pollen grains are male gametes of flower. Fine. Now next part is ovary. You don't write ovary. Actually the part is carpel. And the carpel is also called pistil. This is female reproductive part of flower. Okay. If we see the structure of female reproductive part, stigma. Okay. Second, this part is called style. Third, this part is called ovary. Okay, which I marked just now. This is called ovary. Okay, so the carpel or pistil have three main parts: stigma, style, and ovary. Stigma is a part where the pollen grains comes and stick. Pollen grains come and stick. This is called pollination. So stigma is a part where pollen grains come and stick. This is style and this is ovary. Ovary is the swallow part of carpel in which ovules are present. So this is the structure of flower. I am repeating once again all the parts. The first part is outer green part is known as sepals. A group of collectively sepals is known as calyx. The colored part is known as petals. A group of collectively petals is known as corolla. This is stamen, okay, which is a male reproductive part, which have two main parts: anther lobe and filament. This anther contains pollen grains, which is a male gametes. Next, female reproductive part. Inside this swallow part, if I open this, inside this the swallow part is there. Here is the swallow part. If I open here is the swallow part. Here you can see ovary, okay, or carpel. So this is a carpel. Here the stigma, upper part, middle one is style, and the swallow part is known as ovary. This ovary contains eggs or it contains ovules. These ovules are female gametes. What is male gametes? Pollen grains. What is female gametes? Ovules. So here is the structure of flower, and then this all the parts is going to help for the sexual reproduction. So this is the structure of flower. Once I am going to repeat all the objective questions. First question: what is the reproductive part of plant? Answer: flower. What is the male reproductive part of flower? Answer: stamen. What is the female reproductive part of flower? Answer: carpel or pistil. What is the male gamete in flower? Answer: pollen grain. What is female gamete in flower? Answer: ovule. Okay, so this is the structure of flower. In the subjective question it will ask, and some objective question this way also can ask. Now, after discussing about this structure of flower, in this diagram you can see the male reproductive part stamen is present and female reproductive part carpel, both are present. So if the male and female reproductive both the parts are present in flower, it is called bisexual flower. The examples of bisexual flower is hibiscus, mustard, gulmohar, etc. But in unisexual flower, either the stamen is present or either the carpel is present. Either the stamen or male reproductive part will be present, or either the carpel or female reproductive part will be present. This type of plants or flowers are known as unisexual flowers. Example: papaya, watermelon, cucumber, maize, etc. So for exam objective purpose, you have to learn the definition of bisexual and unisexual flower, as well as you have to learn examples. So bisexual flower, in which in one flower both sex, male and female parts like stamen and carpels are present. Example: hibiscus, gulmohar, mustard, etc. In unisexual, either male part stamen or either female part carpel is present. It's known as unisexual flowers. Example: papaya, watermelon, maize, cucumber, etc. So this is all about the structure of flower and the types of flower. Okay, after discussing the structure of flower, we will discuss about the sexual reproduction in plants, which involves three steps. It involves three steps. steps. First is pollination. Second is fertilization. And third is seeds and fruits formation. So, in sexual reproduction, 3 steps are going to involve, then only it gives a new individual. First is pollination, second is fertilization, and at last is seed or fruits formation. So let's start with first pollination. So first we have to discuss what do you mean by pollination. What do you mean by pollination? As I told you, this pollen this anther lobe contains pollen grains. Okay, and pollen grains are male gametes. So this pollen grains of anther lobes, it transfer to the stigma of carpel. Okay, the reaching of this pollen grain from anther lobe to stigma, this is known as pollination. And repeating, reaching of this pollen grain from stamen or anther to the stigma of carpel is known as pollination. This can be transferred to the stigma by agents. It can be air, through the air when the wind blows. That time this pollen grains with the wind transfer to the flower stigma. If these plants are aquatic plants, then through the water this pollen grains reaches to the stigma. Or when the honeybee or insects sit on the plant to collect the nectar, so this pollen grains stick on the legs of these insects, and when they sit on the plants, this stick on the stigma of flower. So this way some agents like air, water, insects helps to transfer this pollen grain from stamen to the stigma. These are known as pollination agents. These are known as pollination agents. What are the pollination agents? Which helps to transfer this pollen grain from stamen to the stigma. And these can be air, water or insects. So what I want to tell you that this pollen grains, due through the pollen agents, finally it reaches to the stigma of carpel, which is called pollination. Now pollination can be 2 types. Pollination can be 2 types. Self-pollination and cross-pollination. This is further divided in 2 types. Self-pollination and cross-pollination. Now what is the meaning of self-pollination? If the same flower pollen grains reaches to the same flower stigma or the another flower of same plant, fine, either the same flower or another flower of a same plant, this pollen grains reaches to the stigma, this is known as self-pollination. Self means itself only. So either itself its flower or either itself of its own plant. Okay, so this is called self-pollination. But once flower pollen grains reaches to the another plant's flower, but same species, rose to rose, sunflower to sunflower. Okay, so one flower's pollen grains reaches to the another same species plant's stigma. This is known as cross-pollination. And repeating, self-pollination, when the pollen grains reaches to the same flower or another flower of a same plant is known as same plant stigma. This is known as self-pollination. But if one's flower pollen grains transfer to the another flower of same species stigma, this is known as cross-pollination. So this is the type of pollination, self and cross-pollination. Now if we discuss about the advantages, and disadvantages of self and cross-pollination, chances of variation. Fine. So any type of disorder if present in this plant, it may be the new seed which we will get, this will not get this type of disorder. So this is an advantage of cross pollination. But what is the disadvantage of cross pollination? This pollen grains transfer to the another plant stigma. That means it's totally depend on pollination agent. If there is no agent present to transfer this pollen grain from one to another place, that means there is no chance of pollination. So this is the disadvantage of cross pollination. So please go through the notes and read this self and cross pollination advantages and disadvantages, which is a very important question for your board exams purpose. Fine. So here we have discussed our first step, pollination. First step, pollination. Now we will discuss the second and third. So here first we have completed about pollination. Now the next step which involves is fertilization. Okay, what do you mean by fertilization? If a pollen grain and ovule fuse to each other is known as fertilization. That means fusion of pollen grain and ovule is known as fertilization. Here, how the fertilization takes place in flower, that we will discuss here. Fertilization always takes part in female reproductive part. Fertilization always takes part in female reproductive flower part. Here, what is the female reproductive part of flower? Carpel or pistil. So here is the structure of carpel or pistil. The first part, as I told you, the upper part is called stigma. This middle part is called style, and the shallow part is known as ovary. Now, the first step will take place, pollination. From the anther, the pollen grains through the pollination agent, it transferred to the stigma of carpel. So here finally, due to the pollination, either self or cross pollination, this pollen grains finally reach to the stigma of carpel. Now here the fertilization will take place. How it's going to take place? First, when this pollen grains sent or transferred to the stigma of carpel, here one chemical will secrete due to chemotropism. What is the term? Chemotropism. What is the meaning of chemotropism? Chemo means chemical. So when this pollen grains transfer to the stigma, one chemical is going to secrete. Due to this chemical, one stimulation occurs which is called chemotropism. Due to this chemotropism, from the pollen grain, one tube arises which is called pollen tube. Due to chemotropism, pollen from pollen grain, one tube arises which is called pollen tube. This pollen tube is finally entered inside the ovary. A place from where this pollen tube entered inside the ovary, this place is known as micropyle. This pollen tube entered inside the ovary. A place is where this pollen tube entered inside the ovary is known as micropyle. Fine. Now, when this pollen grains comes to the stigma, it divides and it forms two nucleus. So here in pollen grains, two nucleus are present. Okay, in pollen grain, two nucleuses are present. So what happens? This first nucleus will come, okay, through the pollen tube and enter inside the ovary. And inside the ovary, what is present? Ovules. What is present? Ovules. Now, you will see here two ovules are present on the poles. As you can see, two ovules are present on the poles. And now, third will come, which is pollen grains nucleus. So 1, 2, 3. You can see on the poles already two ovules were present. Now the third one which comes, which is pollen grains nucleus. Now there is in between these three gametes, the fusion will occur. Two ovules and one is pollen grains nucleus. So 1, 2, 3. Here triple fusion will take place. 1, 2, 3. So on the poles, two ovules and one pollen grains nucleus, fertilization takes place. This fertilization nucleus will come. Now this second nucleus will come through these pollen grains, and in center earlier only one ovule was present. Now another second will come, which is pollen grains nucleus. Here one ovule and one pollen grains nucleus get fertilized. It is called syngamy. It is called syngamy. So here you can see two nucleus of pollen grains. Two times fertilization take place. One time it is called triple fusion, which fuse with the two ovules on the poles. It is called triple fusion. And in center, one ovule and one pollen grains nucleus get fertilized, which is called syngamy. So what you can say, in plants, two times fertilization takes place. One time triple fusion and second time syngamy. That's why we can say in flower double fertilization occurs. That's why we can say in flowers double fertilization occurs. In exam, the question can ask how the dual fertilization takes place in flower. Explain it. So how you will explain? You will explain about the triple fusion and you will explain about syngamy. So what is the summary of this? That triple fusion, one time fertilization on the poles, triple fusion, and second time in center the fertilization take place, which is called syngamy. So one and two time fertilization. So what we can say, in plants double fertilization takes place. Double fertilization takes place. So this is the answer. Here I am once again repeating this summary. Due to the pollination, pollen grains come and stick on the stigma of carpel. Due to the chemotropism, pollen dew arises from the pollen grains which entered inside the ovary. The place from where this pollen dew entered inside the ovary is known as micropyle. Now the pollen grains nucleus divides and it becomes now two nucleus. One nucleus will come and fertilize with the poles two ovules. So 1, 2 and 3. There is a fusion between three gametes. It is called triple fusion. Second nucleus comes through the pollen grains and fertilize in center located ovule and fertilized it, which is called syngamy. So here two times fertilization, one time triple fusion, second time syngamy. So in flower double fertilization takes place. Male gamete is pollen grain, female gametes is ovule. Male gametes and female gamete when fused to each other, it is called fertilization. So two times fertilization. So we can say in plants dual fertilization takes place. So here we have completed pollination, we have completed fertilization. And now the third one, after fertilization. After fertilization, what will form? So let's discuss about post-fertilization changes. After fertilization, what are the changes will occur in the flower? You have seen in plants that either it's apple or this pomegranate, whatever the fruit you get, first it appears as a fruit. In plants, first it appears as a flower. It appears as a flower. When this flower gets fertilized, then it becomes fruit. So after fertilization, what happens? This ovary of carpel converts into fruit, and the ovules inside the ovary, ovules are present. These ovules converts into seed. Listen properly. After fertilization, ovary converts into fruit and ovules converts into seeds. This is a post-fertilization changes. That means after fertilization. These are the changes. Very, very important objective questions. Listen again. After fertilization, ovary turns into fruit and ovules turns into seeds. So these are the post-fertilization changes. And the sepals and petals drying up and fall down. Okay, but what is remain? Ovary and ovules. So ovary converts into fruit and ovules converts into seeds. So finally we get seeds. These seeds, when we grow inside the soil, it germinate and turn as a new plant. plant. This is only the sexual reproduction. But before that, we will discuss what are the parts of seeds. When this seeds get germinate, what the parts are, we can see. This we will discuss. So our next topic is structure of seeds. Now, as I told you, after fertilization, we will get seed. Okay, now we will study about the structure of seed. So, to study all the parts of seed, we will germinate it first. How you will get germination of seeds? You do one thing, you take all the gram seeds, soak in a whole night in a water, okay, then keep on in a moist cloth. So, you will see some sprouted grams. So, when you open this gram, you will see that some of part is arising upper side and one part is arising lower side. So, these are the sprouted seeds. When you will open it, you will see these three main parts. Upper side, the part which get arise, it is called plumule. It is called plumule. And the lower part which get arise, it is called radicle. It is called radicle. And the two parts, the two main parts, which is called cotyledons. It is called cotyledons. So these are the three main parts. But when this seed is closed, this gram seed is closed, this is outer brown cover is there, which is called seed coat. Which is called seed coat. But when you open this seed, you can see this all three parts. First is the upper part is called plumule. So if you grow the seed inside the soil, okay, this is a seed. When you grow inside the soil, one part will move upwards, one part will grow downwards. This upper part is known as plumule. This upper part is known as plumule. After that, this plumules get all leaf, stem and all the parts. That means plumule develop as a shoot. Plumule develop as a shoot part. But this lower part is known as radicle. Okay, so after that, what happens? From the radicle, the root branches get arises. So after germination, this radicle turns as a root. So what you can say, this plumule is a what? Future shoot. What it is? Future shoot. And this radicle is what? Future root. So this is future root. This is another very important objective question. Plumule is a future shoot. After that, it converts as a shoot part. And radicle is a future root, which is after that converts as a root in plants. So after germination, plumule develop as a shoot and radicle develop as a root. And the cotyledons work as a storage of food. This store food. This cotyledon store food. So this is about the structure of seed. After germination, we get a new developed plant. But we get this seed by sexual reproduction. We get this seed by sexual reproduction. How? Male gametes of pollen grains and female gametes of ovules. First pollination, after that fertilization, and after fertilization we get the ovules turns into seed, and when we grow this seed inside the field, it develops as a new individual. So by this explanation, sexual reproduction in plants, by explanation of structure of flower, pollination, fertilization and structure of seed, we have learned about how the sexual reproduction takes place in plants. Thank you. Have a nice day.